Alright guys, we're talking about property management today. Property management. Okay guys, the stuff I'm going to be going over today is really a general overview. Okay, some of you might not ever need property management if you don't ever plan to buy and hold properties. That doesn't matter because a lot of the people you're going to be flipping properties to are going to need property management, so you need to be an expert in it, at least enough to be able to explain it to them, hook them up with a good property manager as an ancillary product to the property that you're selling them. So you need to be able to educate your buyers about property management. So you yourself need to learn the basics of property management. So the first decision anyone makes with property management is landlording versus outsourcing. Okay, property management, guys, is not easy. I'm just going to go out there and tell you right now, it is hard. Property management is a very tough thing, and depending on the types of properties and the areas you're in and the part of the country you're in, it means a lot of different things. So you really have to know what you're doing, and you need to be realistic about this decision. Okay, you can't just decide halfway that you're going to be a landlord and start renting out properties. It doesn't work out well. I've seen it happen a lot. It doesn't work out well. So let's talk about landlording first. Let's say that you've decided you want to be a landlord. You want to manage your own properties or manage properties for other people. First thing you need to do is get educated. Okay, so like I told you today, I'm going to give you a broad overview. But if you really want to be a landlord, you need to study the specifics in your area. That means you need books, courses, you need to talk to other contacts, other people that have rental properties and that rent them out themselves, talk to them. And I put down here for dummies, just to get a really good general overview, you could grab one of those 4 Dummies books on property management. That'll teach you the basics. But then you need to set everything up right from the beginning, which means that you need to figure out well, let's put it this way. The For Dummies books are going to be very general. You need to get the specific information about your area. The laws are different everywhere, so you need to learn what the differences are and where the law applies in your area. So that means you need an attorney, somebody who is familiar with evictions, somebody who's familiar with leases. I definitely would never use a lease out of a book that you bought at Barnes & Noble. Sometimes I include some leases and some contracts with some of my educational materials, but I always tell people, look, this is what I use here in this state or there in that state, but if you're doing business somewhere else, you need an attorney who can look over your documents, your eviction stuff, your leases, to make sure you're in compliance with the laws in your local area. You also need a handyman. Okay, maybe you're not going to be fixing up properties yourself, but you need to have somebody that you can, number one, ask maintenance questions to, and also have go out and take care of these properties. You need to learn marketing. If you're going to be a landlord, you need to know how to market for tenants. You need to know how to market for tradesmen and handymen that'll be working for you. You need to learn that part of the business. Very, very important. You need to learn the marketing. And the most important thing when you're your own property manager is that you have to have a system. Very, very important. So a lot of that, like I said, will be dependent on your own area. But you need to learn that for your buyers. If you are flipping and wholesaling property, you need to know a framework of a system so that you can portray that information to them. It will help you sell properties. Alright, let's talk about professional property managers. With professional property managers, you're looking to outsource everything from rental marketing, tenants, leases, maintenance, collections, evictions. You won't be handling any of that if you hire a professional property manager. Basically, as the owner of the property, you get a check and you get a statement. A property manager is generally going to charge about half to 1 full month of rent for placement. Now, some will offer placement only. Sometimes that's a full month's rent or even more than that. But generally, it's going to be somewhere between a half to a full month's rent for placement with an ongoing agreement in place that you'll pay them somewhere between 8% and 12% for ongoing management. That's pretty typical. In my area here in Florida, pretty typical is 8 to 10%. I've seen as low as 7 in some part of the countries, and I've seen as high as 14 or 15, but 8 to 12 is usually the range that you're going to find across the country for regular residential property management. A lot of property managers will mark up maintenance a little bit. I don't think that's a problem as long as they're not gouging people, but they should make a little bit of money on the maintenance side, so be prepared for that. Some will charge you a fee every year when they renew the lease with the tenant. They might charge you, just a small clerical fee or paperwork fee, something like that. Many will charge an account setup fee for the first time when you first give them a property or two to set up your account. There's some kind of account setup fee there. And then depending on what you want a property manager to do, if you want them to do something out of the ordinary, most will consider that some kind of special request and not really included into that 8% per month or whatever it is, so that would be considered a special request. So for owners out of the state, there's really only one option. They have to have a property manager. They have to hire it out. Cash flow real estate management is a hands-on business. They really cannot do it from afar. I've seen people try to do that, and it has not turned out well, so I don't recommend anybody do that. So for people that, for students of mine that are flipping properties and are planning to flip properties to people that are out of the state that they're in, or even out of the country like a lot of our investors are, you need to have a property manager that you can recommend to them, somebody that is there in that area that can be hands-on. That's the only option for those out-of-state owners. Somebody has to be in charge on the ground, or the properties will suffer and they won't cash flow like they're supposed to. Okay, so here's your assignment for this module. I want you to contact 3 property managers in your area. I want you to get them on the phone, and I want you to ask them questions like this. When you first get them on the phone, ask them the typical questions that they probably get from everybody. What are your fees? How much do you charge for placement? How much do you charge for ongoing management? But then start to get into questions about what types of properties they work with. What's the lowest priced rents you have, and what types of homes or apartments are those? What's the highest price that you have, and what types are those? Ask them if they work with the Section 8 program. Ask them how they work with the Section 8 program. Ask them what the process is for a Section 8 inspection. If they can't answer you right away, then you'll know they're not too familiar with Section 8. You can also ask them questions like, how long does it generally take for the property to get rented? They should have. You're not looking for any particular number on answers like this. You're just looking for a good, firm, confident answer from them because they know it, because they've done it long enough. They can tell you, look, it's going to be 30 to 45 days, or it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks, or whatever it is. You just want them to tell you that they're confident and that they're competent. There's a lot of other questions you can ask them too. You can ask them questions about market rent for certain types of properties. What does a 3-bedroom, 2-bath block home go for in this area code? In your experience, ask them about that to find out what areas they're really well versed in. And then you can question them as much as you want after that, but do ask some of the harder questions and look for definitive answers. If you don't get definitive answers from them, they're probably not real property managers. They're probably just a realtor that got some kind of property management certification, something like that, but doesn't really understand rental properties. So from this lesson, I want you to remember, number one, you need to be an expert on property management to bring value to your buyers. Even if you're not using it yourself, you need to be an expert on these things, because this is how they're eventually going to cash flow. You need to be familiar with the full process that it takes to make whatever property niche you're in cash flow. So if people are buying properties from you and it's a great deal, but you can't tell them how they're going to make money on it, you're not bringing value to them. And then you remember the pro forma module that we had a while back. That module, if you go back and take a look at it now, look at those numbers, and when you plug numbers in and you see what it's running for, to make those pro formas work, to make those fulfill for your buyers, you need to have property management. Without property management, all of this falls apart. No cash flow, no buy and hold rentals work without good property management. That's why you need to know about it, and I hope the homework assignment is good. I look forward to hearing how you guys do in your conversations. So send me an email and let me know how your conversation with the property managers go. I've got a lot of different students in a lot of different areas, so I love hearing from all you guys. And I learned a lot from you guys too, learning about what different property managers are doing at different ends of the country. So hope you guys are doing good. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.